Today we have Meena Kumari, who graduated in 2014 from Civil Engineering Department. And after her graduation, she joined in NIT Warangal for her master's degree. And then she worked in ISRO as a master's research program. And after that, she went to Germany for her PhD program, and she obtained her PhD in the very recent in June from Philipps University, Marburg. Meena Kumari, we congratulate you for your successful graduation from your PhD program. And now I can introduce you to all our RGVKT people as Dr. Meena Kumari Kolli. We are very proud of you. And I heartily welcome you to give this session. Please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. And I'm not able to, okay. Hello everyone, I'm Meena Kumari Kolli. Today I'm going to give you some inputs about the scientific research areas and scholarship information. First, let me introduce myself. I am a recent PhD graduate from the Philipps University of Marburg, Germany, where I was admitted December 2017 and June 2020. I was awarded with the doctorate degree. I applied to be the GATE 2014 exam, and then I entered NIT Warangal for my master's course in remote sensing and GIS specialization. And also I was a first batch student of Nujividu campus and a civil engineering graduate. My research experience would be like I did my master's dissertation from Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, Dehradun, and my bachelor's internship from Vizag Steel Plant. After I have a keen interest and genuine passion for a research career, and then started looking for a abroad PhD opportunities. Finally, I got selected for two scholarships. One is from Marburg International Doctorate Scholarship, Germany, and other one is from Japanese government scholarship for the research study at Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand. That time I got two offers for my PhD study with two scholarships, but finally I choose the Marburg University for my research study because I'm interested in a particular research topic. I have two research conferences. One is like AK Hydrology German conference, and one is FAST 4G Asia International Conference in Hyderabad. I want to tell about how do I overcome my challenges. I was awarded with the average CGPA in civil engineering, like 7.55. And also I studied my minor degree in mathematics, where I finished 8 mathematics subjects. After my bachelor's, I joined ACE Institute of Coaching Center for IES long-term coaching. And I applied to be the IES exam, and also I applied to be the civil services, but I was applied only for prelims only. After that, I joined MTech for NIT Warangal, and I did my project at ISRO Dehradun for 10 months, and then I returned to the NIT Warangal to finish my master's courses. Before I finish my master's course, I already got two offers, so that from the 3 months, I arranged my time for data collection, visa processing, and for the room arrangement in Germany. Finally, I was admitted to the Marburg University on June 3rd, and December 3rd and June 3rd, I was awarded with the doctorate degree. This is all about me. Today, I'm gonna share you about my research experiences, ideas, and suggestions, and also I'm gonna share some research activities and what is the scientific research, and I'm gonna tell you about PhD skill sets, and also further I will tell you about the funding opportunities. Normally, why people they want to do PhD? Actually, PhD applicants can be motivated by many factors, such as those who are willingness to improve their career prospects and also passion for research work. And some people, they are interested about teaching, and some other, they are interested to discover about new things. And also they gonna improve their personal development. Normally, what actually others think about PhD, only three things: that 24 hours they do work, eat and sleep, and they repeat this the same throughout their life. So the life of a PhD student will be like they have to attend a series of conferences and workshops and group meetings, and they have to attend seminars, excursion trips, and others. The main advantage of attending a conference will be like you are going to meet a research expertise in that areas. For example, you can meet professors, you exchange of informations, you can get the support from them, you can take their contacts, and sorry. About the seminars, you have to attend a series of seminars to get the funding opportunities, and how to write a research journals, and how to publish a paper, and to get the early career information, like what you have to do after your PhD, and how to acquire a job, and other information. And also PhD students have to attend workshops about, some people they are interested to learn about new methods, modeling, and they have to know about the academic writing skills. And if you attend for a group meeting, you get the information like you get the help how to read a research paper, and people gonna give you some motivation information, they gonna help you to finish your projects very soon. And also excursion trips, you have to visit some nearest industrial areas and some organizations to improve, to know the ground truth information of your research objectives. And also PhD student life would be like you have to maintain international network, you have to, there are so many research scholars, you can communicate them easily, and also you can enjoy the campus life, and you can read the papers, and you can access the libraries, and you can attend weekend parties and so on. This is all about the PhD student life. It's not about that only reading, writing, and sleeping and eating. Okay, who can do PhD? Here I provided you a calculation factor. Before you wanna take a decision that you want to do PhD or not, just try to assess yourself whether you are capable enough to do a PhD or not. Here, according to my analysis, here I put on, there are 5 keywords like whether you have to check you are a hardworking person, you are a self-motivated, and you are able to manage your time, and you are an ambitious person or not, and also whether you are able to avoid or isolate the negative environment. For example, like external pressure, PhD student must be avoid or isolate from the social pressure, because you are going to carry a constant pressure throughout your PhD life. So you should avoid the negative environment. For example, how can you assess yourself? I'm gonna give you an example. Here, I just randomly put some tick marks that, for example, if you're a hardworking person, just try to give a green tick mark, and like self-motivated, you are able to manage your time, and you can avoid your negative environment. Just try to assess yourself, and just think about it whether you can able to do PhD or not, because there are so many people, they are giving up their PhD in between that, because they are not able to manage time, they are not able to do task on time. And normally doing PhD is easy or not. Many people, they have perception about that doing PhD is extremely difficult. This is all because of that lack of information, lack of idea, and lack of communication skills, and particularly lack of patience. So actually, believe me, doing PhD is extremely easy. Just if you understand the process that involved in PhD. just I want to give you a quote that the expert in anything was once a beginner. You just have to explore more about yourself, a particular information about your PhD before you start your research career. It will help you more about to finish early PhD degree. Okay, here how to find your research topic. Here I provided a beautiful figure based on my personal experiences and analysis. Here I have provided 5 different research topics. I will explain you one by one how can you choose your research topic and how to start writing a research proposal and how to approach a guide. Okay, first let me give you the research type 1. How can you choose your PhD topic? Well, first you have to identify your area of an interest. For example, you can take any of your favorite subject from your bachelor's or master's study and then read relevant research papers in that particular area of your interest. So you will get some basic idea what actually the research it describes. Then identify the knowledge gap in that area of your interest. This is really important. Further, explore more about the methods and modeling. Methods and modeling can be like anything. It can be like programming and it can be like mathematical derivations, like trend analysis or field investigations. And some people, they do laboratory experiments. I'm gonna repeat, just first try to identify what is your favorite subject, area of your interest, and try to read as many as papers possible and identify the knowledge gap. What is the limitations and scope of future study, that is called knowledge gap, and further explore more about the methods that involved and that you want to execute your research objective, and then try to start a research proposal. This is the research type. This is the standard way of writing a research proposal. And I'm gonna give you the next example about some people, they are interested about the field methods. So for example, my professor, he has 35 years of research experience. So he only interested to do field investigations, and first he has the research background, and further he gonna set up some methods. Normally every week he used to visit some field and he collect some samples, and further he do some laboratory analysis. Here I provided some Google images and also my experiment results. And as you see here one person, he's collecting the information about the plant growth and he's updating on his mobile. He used to check the plant growth like every week. He's gonna visit the field and he used to check that plant growth, and then he update information on his mobile. Further he do analysis. And also, as you see, a group of people, they have the field excursion trip. And as you see here, a person collecting some water samples to analyze the water quality, whether the water is fit for agriculture purpose or drinking or some other domestic purpose. And here are some figures is based on my experiments. Here is the one of the research laboratory in Germany that I was attended last year. And here the figure is based on my own research experiments. So research type 2 will be like field method. Some people, they are only interested about field investigations and they want to do a research about only field analysis. And research type 3 can be like modeling, programming and algorithms and application oriented. This research type almost dedicated to the computer science background people, because they are only interested about the programming and they want to develop some new algorithms and they prepare some mobile applications. I'm gonna give you an example of my master's project. Yes, my master's project, I did it from the Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, Dehradun. My research topic will be like offline location-based services application for healthcare services. The main objective of my project was like I was developed a mobile application, so the application can work even when the user is disconnected his mobile from internet. So for this, I had to store the data, healthcare data, and the background Google Map on for offline purpose, so that user can able to access the mobile and information even though when he was disconnected from the internet. So this was my project, and my project result would be like, it would completely based on the user's requirement. For example, as you see here I provided a label like this user can select the data from a particular type and specialization. Here I choose like ear, nose, and throat. So when you search for this specialization in particularly Dehradun city here, because I have only added information about Dehradun healthcare facilities, so you are able to get the information on map like the doctor name and doctor address, phone number, office timings, and the nearest location, nearest maximizing distance from your area. So this could be like a research modeling. If you are interested about modeling, programming, and algorithm, you want to provide some application. So this could be like a very good project. So my project, I left, I have only 10 months time because I'm not much aware about the programming because I'm from a civil engineering background. So I took long time to develop a offline mobile application. So I left some limitations, I left some objectives for my future study. For example, I just developed only offline mobile application. So for example, if the doctor change his location from one place to another place, or like if doctor change his mobile number, how the data can be updated. And I just left these objectives for future scope. And this is like a knowledge gap. Those who are interested in this project, they can start from here. They can start from the mobile application to the future, like synchronization to the new data and updated version. So I told you that what is knowledge gap. If you read more papers, you can easily identify the knowledge gap, and further people, they set up new methods from here onwards and they start write a new research proposal. So this would be like a very interesting project if you are good about modeling and programming and you have a interest to develop some new applications. And the research topic would be like comparative analysis. If you are good at comparing different methods, for example, you can choose like 4 or 5 research methods, and further you can do validation, and you can give the conclusion like which method is the best one. I will give you an example like recently after my PhD dissertation, I involved in a project with Egyptian research scholars and also Taiwan institution people. We are like 6 authors. I am the 4th author. What we did means that we choose a location Egypt, like for example, a famous city in Egypt like Alexander's city. We choose the location, and the others, they have collected the information. They used the GPS location for that city and they provided us for the data, input data. So what we did means that we use the same data, same area, and we process the data in 5 different methods, 5 different classification methods. Finally, our goal is to that we want to give a conclusion to the audience like what is the best accuracy among these 5 classification and 5 different applications. So we already finished our project and we already finished our research article. Maybe we're gonna submit our article maybe the next upcoming weeks. So finally, my involvement in this project would be like research method 5. After the comparative analysis and validation, finally, we concluded that classification 5 is the best approach for urban studies. That was I involved in this project. So you can choose that if you're good about comparative analysis, if you know number of methods, modeling, and you want to compare, you want to give the audience like your results, which one is the best, so that for the next upcoming research scholars, they can easily identify their which method is the best and they can easily get the information from your article. And the research type 5 will be like literature study. Personally, I recommend you to not to go for this research topic, because this research topic, professors normally use this literature study, and they have some past research background, and further they add novelty to the papers. Because they have a intensive research experience, they can do it better than, because right now we are like junior research scholars, we cannot go for a total literature study background. So overall, I told you that I explained you about 5 different research topics that how to for your PhD, and you should write a very good research proposal, like your main research objective, like title and your abstract, and also you have to put some research questions, because you are going to write a research proposal for a PhD. So research questions must be important, and further you have to mention your methodology and what you are going to do analysis, and your research plan for 3 or 4 years of your PhD life. This is overall framework about how to choose your research topic and how to write a research proposal. And now your research proposal is ready. I will tell you how to identify a funding, or how to approach a professor and how to communicate with him. I will tell you later. First, I mentioned you that you have to read many research journals, because reading more and more research journals can help you to identify which methods are the best. So how to find research journals? For example, the best site for research scholars would be like the Google Scholar. You have to type your keywords here. Keywords must be like you can add civil engineering, or you can add urban studies. You can add land use information, like you can add many things according to your research objectives. So Google Scholar will provide you a list of references. It must be like 100 to 1000 research journals are available. So you can read the information. You just have to go through the research article and read the paper carefully. Then you will get some basic idea what is the structure of the research objective, and how they explain. Actually, just always remember that academic writing is completely different than other activities. You should improve your academic writing skills. If you attend some workshops, you will know how to write a research paper. But the main disadvantage of Google Scholar would be like it give you both paid generals and non-paid generals. So some generals you cannot read it for free. You have to pay like $15 to $20 money to read that paper. So Google Scholar will give you all type of research journals. So for example, if you are interested in a particular topic, and you can read the abstract, but you cannot read the total article, but you don't want to pay money. In that case, what should you do? There is a Science Hub website. You can easily download a paper for free of cost. Every journal there is a digital object index. You just copy the URL here. Every journal they have like this index, and you just copy the URL, and it will give you a free PDF, and you can even download in your computer. You can read that article for several times. And also ResearchGate also like a Twitter account. Normally PhD students, they follow a ResearchGate network, so that you can get the latest research article information, recent technologies, and you can explore more about your objectives. You just have to follow the professors. Maybe you can identify a professor from a ResearchGate also as well. Even you can get the PhDs information, scholarships or jobs information, and also there are some vacancies from this ResearchGate website. Way to clarify your doubts. If you are preparing a PhD application, and if you are how to communicate with a professor, and how to get the funding, and how to write a research proposal, how to publish a paper, which journals are the best. If you have a list of questions, but you don't know to whom you have to ask, then there is a one Facebook link like PhD and postdoc positions. Already more than 4 lakh, above 5 lakh people are they already joined in this group. So if you join in this group, you can get the information, and even you can drop your question here. People, they come up with very nice ideas and suggestions. You can take from them according to your wish. And yes, I told you our research proposal is ready, and we know how to clarify our doubts. We know how to download our research journals, and further how to get a PhD confirmation from a professor, and how to get a scholarship. This is really a challenging task. I will tell you how to do this. Yes, I will cover you that. I divided the topic into 3 different types, like internal funding, external funding, and through direct scholarship. First, I will tell you how to approach a guide. Normally, check the university websites, like for example, if you are a civil engineer, I'm a civil engineer, so I just have to check the good universities or institutions. I just directly go to the university profile and check the list of professors in my area, civil engineering background, and I will find a professor. For example, you have to read his recent publications, so that you will get some idea that whether you are able to work with that professor or not. And try to find his current email address. Just only you have to communicate with a professor for the first time. Try to use the official email address. You cannot call him directly on phone. You cannot follow Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or ResearchGate. So always use a professional way to approach a professor, just only the email address. And now try to write an email to the professor, like just highlight your educational background, and just for never forget about that. Try to appreciate his research contributions. This would be really important. And highlight your research topic that you are interested to do a research under his guidance. So once you prepare, just try to prepare like 10 to 15 lines. Don't write a long paragraphs and 2-3 pages to write a professor about email, because he never read that email, never. And with that, you enclose your CV and also your research proposal along with a well-written cover letter, and send email to the professor and wait for his reply. Because normally professors, they read reply within 2-3 days, but they are not going to reply you immediately. You should give him a time, like he has to think about it, whether he can take a new PhD student or not, whether he is interested in your research topic, or whether he has to prepare himself about that, whether he wanna communicate with you or not. Just you have to wait for like 10 to 15 days time maximum. If you didn't receive any email from the professor, then send a reminder email to the person, like whether he is interested or not. Don't send a random emails to the professor every day. Just you have to give him some time. He need to prepare himself. Okay. For example, if the professor check your CV and mark sheets, educational background, your research proposal, and finally if he finds that your research topic is interesting, and he will come with you a positive answer. Once you get a positive answer from a professor, 50% of your PhD application is successful. Then he will conduct you a Skype interview to elaborate your research methods, whether you are good at programming or coding skills, and he will check your research background. So if everything goes well, he will get you a positive response, and he will confirm your PhD application. So next, further, discuss him about the funding. Without funding, you cannot do your PhD. Normally, PhD takes like 3 to 4 years, and even more beyond, like 5 to 6 years. People they do their PhDs. Okay, funding is really important. So try to discuss him with whether he able to provide you a funding or not. In general, professors, every professor, they have some funding projects. If the professor is genuinely interested in your topic, he would definitely allocate you a funding and scholarship. Okay, then your PhD application will be successful and you will get your funding, and wish you very all the best. What in case if the professor confirm your application and he does not provide you a funding, then what should you do? But you want to do your PhD under his guidance, but you have to choose an external funding opportunities. But here what should you do means, well, every country, they attract international students by providing some scholarships. For example, you communicate with a professor from German university, then you should apply only for a DOT scholarship. If you communicate with the Switzerland professor is from Switzerland, you can apply for a Switzerland excellent scholarship. For UK Council for International Student Affairs, for USA Fulbright program, for Australia Endeavour scholarship. So here you get the confirmation from a German professor. You should not apply these scholarships. You should only apply the DOT scholarship. Okay, now how to apply for a DOT scholarship for your PhD funding? You already have a confirmation letter from your professor, and you need external funding for your PhD career. Here I'm going to share my experiences, how I applied for a DOT scholarship, and I will tell you the procedure. Okay, here I provided the official website for this DOT scholarship in Germany. When you open the link, you can see a list of scholarships. For example, German government provides short-term fundings, like they can give you like 6 months project. For example, if you are doing your PhD in India, any one of the IITs, but you want to do your 6 months research internship, like in Germany, you can apply this research grant scholarship, short-term research funding. And if you want to do a 1-year grant for PhDs, you can apply for this scholarship. But our goal is that you have the confirmation letter from a Germany. You need the long-term funding. You want to get your doctorate degree from German university only. In that case, you should apply only this scholarship. And for example, if you click the link, it will bring you this page, like you can read the overview and you can read the application requirements, application procedure, and also they provide you the contact information. If you have any queries, you can ask them easily. And I will tell you the list of documents that you have to submit to the DOT scholarship, because you need a lot of patience to prepare this application. Well, here you already have a research proposal, and you already have a confirmation letter from a German professor that he is going to he is going to guide you as a PhD supervisor. So when these two applications are ready, it is easy to prepare others. For example, you have to fill the online application form. You have to enter your details, and you should provide your CV, like a maximum of 3 pages. And if you have any publications, research conferences, papers, and you can attach them to the application along with your research proposal. And you need to prepare a planned research work. That scholarship, they will ask you that what is your research plan for 3 or 4 years research funding. So you should prepare the first year. You can mention like the first year you want to organize your life in Germany, and you want to read a literature part, and you want to read many papers. You just prepare the first year of your PhD life would be like you have to organize your life in Germany, and you need to read many papers. You need to do literature background. And the second year of your PhD life will be like you have to choose 3 or 4 research objectives and how you are going to execute and how much time, how much duration you for each and every objective that you are going to take. This is important. If you don't know about that, how to prepare a research plan, you can check internet. There are so many examples. People, they already shared their experiences on Google. You can easily get that information. Okay, here is a list of documents that you have to submit your application online only. Just remember that first you should submit your online application. You should attach all these documents. Then they will provide you a application summary. Application summary like around 25 to 30 pages. Take printout of that application and take 2 reference letters from the university professors. They must be from your master's professors because they already know about you during your master's course. And just to prepare a post like application summary printout and also 2 recommendations letters from professor, and you have to send this application to the DAT. If you're from India, you should send the DAT regional office like New Delhi. Here I provide you the address. You should submit your application by post to this address. So this year the application deadline would be like around October 20th, last date. And now when you submit your application, when you submitted your total application and a list of documents to the DAT scholarship, the scholarship committee, they evaluate your profile. First they check your research background, your research proposal, and how many conferences you have attended, what is your what is your methods, how you are going to approach your research objective. So once the college scholarship committee decision, they choose that, okay, if your research application is potential enough to do a PhD, then they will call you for a personal interview. It must be like end of January or February the time. Yeah, here I provide you my email. I was interviewed at New Delhi. I received the call last year because I applied for the scholarship extension, so that even though I have to attend the personal interview in Delhi only, not in Berlin, though still I'm living in Germany. So last year I was attended for my scholarship extension and I received a personal interview like last year, end of the January. During your interview time, you should not provide any academic documents because you already submitted your documents as application summary. And during your interview time, you are not expected to make any presentation. Just remember that you should go there, and the interview panel consists of 3 professors. I was interviewed with the 3 professors. One professor must be from German and 2 Indian professors. So they will ask you about your research background and they will check you that whether you are a potential candidate or not, whether how much you are aware about the research activities and what is your research work experience and what is your motivation to do a PhD. And they will check your research proposal, whether it is innovative or not, whether the people, they already have done a lot of research during this in your research objectives. So why you want to do this project again? They will ask you such kind of questions. You have to prepare well. The interview time, the schedule will be like, the duration will be like 20 to 30 minutes. And finally, the professors, the interview panel, 3 professors, German and 2 Indian professors, if they find that you are a suitable person, then they will confirm you a scholarship. Once they confirm your scholarship, then you should not immediately start your PhD life in Germany. First, you need to take 6 months German language course, any of the institution in Germany, rather than your host institution. 6 months German language course is compulsory and mandatory for that scholarship. Just remember that. So this way you can find a scholarship. First, you have to choose your PhD topic and you should communicate with a guide. And if he provide you a scholarship, that is okay. If not, you should apply a dot scholarship. So the application process, it will take you like 8 to 10 months. You have to prepare well for this because this gonna take you a long time, and during the time you don't know what should you do. You should prepare for each and every challenging opportunities. Okay. Next topic will be like direct scholarship. Um, for example, I told you the previous slides that some professors, they have some funding projects, but they need students to work for it, because professors, they are maybe they are not good about modeling methodology session, and they are only expertise in research field research areas. So they need some students, those who are good about programming, modeling and coding, and some maybe those who are interested, they always choose young research scientists. So the professors, they prepare a application, funding application. They already give you a funding. They release a notification, like first they give you a topic. They give you 2 or 3 topics, and they in their application they mentioned required programming skills and what are the methods, and they will upload you in on university websites. For example, you can check that application, but how to check that university websites and that direct scholarships with research objective? Well, here I provided you the 2 links, that scholarshippositions.com and scholarshipsdb.net. If you register your email ID here, every week you can get a list of scholarships. Like maximum you can receive like 100 to 1000 scholarships information. You can easily find your research objective and direct funding from these websites. Just you have to open the application. For example, I registered for those scholarshippositions.com. So every week I receive some scholarships like that. I just delete it because right now I don't need this scholarship information. So I just provide you an example. If you click any of the links, when you receive the email, just try to click any of the link, and you have to choose that whether you're interested in master's course or PhD or postdoc positions. You have to choose your objective, because they will give you even master scholarships or undergraduate scholarships information. So if you only choose PhD scholarship information, you can only get the PhD funding projects. So once you click the link, you have to read the application total, like research objective, what they have provided, research topiks and programming skills, and the methodology and research background. You have to identify or assess yourself whether you are capable enough to do that PhD or not. Once you find that you are suitable to choose that research objective, try to communicate with them. You should send email to the respective person, the contact email ID, they will provide you that. You can communicate with them, and you have to prepare a research proposal according to their format, and you can directly send your CV and cover letter, your research proposal. If actually every professor, they get at least 20 to 30 applications for one research position. So they evaluate each and every student profile, and they have to identify that which to whom they have to choose for their research objective. So during the time they evaluate each and every application, and they select at last 5 applications. They conduct interview for the 5 research scholars, and finally they choose one. That is like direct scholarship. At last, I would like to give a conclusion that what is the best option. I recommend you that your research topic is good, because you only choose your research topic because you already may be aware about your methodology, or what you are gonna give a results and what is your conclusions. And you communicate with your professor, and if he provide you a funding, internal university funding, this is an excellent option. And also direct scholarship. Direct scholarship means they only provide you a research topic and they only give you a research funding. So it will take like 2 or 3 months direct scholarship. So once you finish your masters and during your master's time you can already register your scholarship information. So just try to identify that which one is the best option for you to do your PhD. Direct scholarship is the always best option. They only provide you a scholarship and they only provide you a topic and they only provide you the data, experiments, laboratory equipments and everything. You just have to go to that university and you should use your talent. You should utilize your programming skills and at last you should provide the results, and then only the professors satisfy the results, then they will award you a PhD degree. So first option, always choose a direct scholarship, and secondly preferably go for your research topic and with internal funding. So the second option is like your research topic and external funding opportunities. It will take you at least 8 to 10 months time, but you are not aware about that whether the scholarship application would be successful or not. So you will be in dilemma whether if you choose the second option. But at the same time try to apply the three methods. Like first communicate, you can also communicate with professor internal funding. You can meanwhile you can apply for a external funding, and at the same time you can also look for direct scholarship opportunities. And yeah, PhD skills required. You have to be good at academic writing. You should improve your writing skills, and you should be good about communication, and you need a lot of patience, and also you should be able to manage your time before the deadlines. You should able to finish your projects. And also analysis and problem solving skills. Of course everyone can do this. And project management and work habits, just ignore. You must be smart, motivated, creative, and hardworking. And in this session I cover you that how to choose a research topic and how to approach a guide, how to write an email to the professor, and I gave you an example of how to apply for a DOT scholarship. And finally, I gave conclusions to you that which one is the best option, direct scholarship or like internal funding scholarship or like external funding scholarship. So in this session, and I would like to thank Change Rural India team to give an opportunity to share my experiences. And also I wanna acknowledge my colleagues, Dr. Tejesh Kumar from Cambridge University. He is a Commonwealth Scholarship holder, and also Mr. Hadi from same university, Marburg. He is also a DOT scholarship holder. They provided some inputs for my presentation, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Meena. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, okay.
I know that your time in Germany there is now about 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. So it shows your passion and zeal, commitment to help our educated students and all the students out there in India who are trying to do PhD in abroad and especially in Germany. Thank you.
Thank you.
Friends, now we are opening the session for the interactions. If anybody would like to ask questions, they can either type your questions or can ask directly. Mohan, I think you have a question.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Mohan.
Yeah, hi. So thanks a lot, Meena. This is really a nice talk, and I should thank you from my heart because this we are organizing on the anniversary of CRA, and your talk will definitely become a feature talk in our CRA series because your talk has given a sort of tutorial for any student who would like to imagine themselves in research. What steps is involved. Definitely, when we joined in PhD Sandal, we never found such tutorials in YouTube. I don't want to call it as a talk, so I'm calling it as a tutorial. So I have one interesting thing.
Yeah.
You have graduated from civil engineering from RGUKT.
Yes.
And I could see your CGPA is 7.55. So I know how much hard work you might have taken to prepare for your civil services exam. From that, to civil services exam, and then you also worked in ISRO, one of the most prestigious institutions, and then now you are a doctorate from well-known university in Germany. So how do you feel in this journey from RGKTE to a doctorate from Germany?
Well, actually, because my major in civil engineering, and I also parallelly I did my minor courses in mathematics, so I was not able to maintain a good CGPA. At the same time, I have to focus on major and minor degrees. So I got only 7.5 CGPAs, and for the time I'm interested in civil services. The further I went IES coaching, so that if I go for a civil services examination, then I can choose as a major subject like my civil engineering. And many people, they choose like geography, economics and other, but I want to choose a civil engineering subject. So
Yes.
it would be better for me to go for a IES coaching, so that I can go for the civil services examination further, like to have the knowledge about the social activities and current affairs.
Correct.
That time I appeared for IES exam, and I also appeared for prelims exam. And then that time I was not known about, there is no one around me that who can provide me some information, motivation. And I do, even that time we don't have the much information on internet. We didn't know how to use internet that time.
Correct.
Seriously, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I decided to go for masters. So during the time, masters course would be like 2 years. Even they provide you the stipend. Master students,
Yes.
we receive like 12,000 rupees per month.
Yes.
So during the time my master's course, I can choose my my life by like either I wanna go for a civil services, or like I wanna go for like only IES, or I wanna go for like a civil engineering government jobs, you know, AW and AES.
Yes.
But when I entered masters in NIT Warangal, my specialization in remote sensing and GIS. So the first semester, I was seriously interested about to explore more about remote sensing and GIS. It is completely based on the satellite data. We extract the information from the satellite data and we do analysis. I was really passionate about that. And when I was in second semester, MTech first year in second semester,
Yes.
I decided that okay, this would be really interesting for me. So I have to choose my career maybe in this direction rather than civil services. Um, so that time I decided that okay, I have to explore more about the research activities.
Yeah.
I decided to go for the one of the ISRO institution, like Indian Institute of Remote Sensing is good for the research activities. For example, remote sensing people. So I communicated with a guide, and I took a recommendation letter from my HOD sir, because he already knows about my hard work and everything. So he provided me a good recommendation letter. So I entered IIRS for my research career. When I entered remote Dehradun institution, the time I interacted with many people. What is research act? You know about it. Remote sensing institutions, there are so many scientists, we can also analyze their profile and what they are going to do. We can observe daily their research activities. During that time, my research interest will be like I seriously have a genuine passion to enter a PhD life.
Correct.
That time I started looking for a PhD opportunities in Germany. Maybe you know about it, like who is that Bhaskar Rao Chintad. You know about him, right?
Yes.
That time he already get the confirmation from Switzerland scholarship. So I read the information from Facebook and I checked his profile that, okay, I think it is really interesting. I also want to apply for a scholarship, but my CGPA would be like 7.55. And it is okay that, okay, I studied from national institution and now I'm doing a research from a Indian Institute of Remote Sensing. So it is okay for my educational background. And how can I improve my profile? I attended one conference, and I also wrote a paper, research paper. So once I prepared all these things and I communicated with a German professor, like my professor is Professor Oak, and he said that, okay, Meena, I'm interested in your topic, and you just elaborate your research profile and your research topic, and further we can communicate. Maybe if I'm interested, it is okay, I can confirm your PhD application. During the time, at least I applied 40 to 50 scholarship. I sent at least 40 to 50 scholarship applications.
My goodness.
So at last I got two opportunities. One is from Japan government scholarship and other is from German scholarship. So I really faced a long struggle to get this scholarship.
Correct. So it's really eye-opening talk for us. Why? Because see, many people used to get discouraged after their graduation itself. Okay, what next? We don't know. But looking at you, it's like anyone will know that it is never the late. We have to keep on trying. And the way you are telling, you have applied for 40 to 50 scholarships, and you got to hear from two. We could know like how much patience we need when we are applying for these scholarships. And definitely it is like most of the times we are struggling due to lack of information. Now we have you, if some student would like to apply. So with all your experience, maybe definitely the future will become easy for the people who are trying to follow you. And I could really see a sort of flavor in your research proposal, because you were talking about some urban development.
Yes.
Why I have stressed about your CGPA is, we know like many students like us, we were all like that, with very less CGPA and all. Later somehow our watches turned in positive way, so we moved on, and we would like to share that experience with everyone. So just that any student should not get discouraged with their just CGPA or something. It puts on many factors, right? But what I feel is, you have taken civil engineering with a proper intention that this is useful for civil services, and then you tried for civil services, and even your MTech project is something that is useful for developing some facility for some society, maybe nation we can call it as. And the way you have chosen your research proposal also, it is something called urban development. So I really feel a sort of connection between your mindset of going into civils and choosing certain topic. So can we deliver a message to the people who are trying to prepare for civils, that it is not only civil services or administration services, but using your education and research also, we can give back something to the society. Can we tell like that?
Yes. Well, whatever we do something, it should be useful for the society, right?
Yes.
So you should always choose your projects like what is your contribution to the society, and because I never go for the some industrial, like I don't know about the software field and those areas. So I'm always interested about the civil services or like research activities. So these two are the major role that we can contribute something to the society.
Correct.
So this way I try to choose even my research objectives, how it could be useful. It's not only for civil engineering. I would explore more about that from civil subjects, and my PhD research topic is not about the urban studies. This is my extra research project. My research topic will be like, I just combined my civil engineering and my master's course, and also my master's research topic. I just combined all this information, and I did a research about that lakes ecology and hydrology. It is completely, I address about that government and how the government can improve. For example, my research area is like Kolleru Lake. It is the largest freshwater lakes in India, right?
Correct.
So I choose that what is the main dispute in that areas between the public and the government. So being a civil engineer, being a research scholar, how can I contribute to, how can I provide the information to the government and to the society, and how can I address the people what they have to do and not. My main objective is that people, they have surrounding the areas, they have constructed some illegal fish ponds. You know about our India economy is the main important food and economy.
Correct.
So they do, if they find any place, they always try to occupy that. So people, they are illegally occupied the lake area by constructing some fish ponds. So government sometimes they just can monitor and sometimes they just ignore. So this is the way the lake we cannot see from the satellite data. Where is the lake? It would difficult for me to choose that what is the lake area. I can only choose the fish. I can only see the fish ponds over the satellite image. So this way I address the people and I address the government that what they have to do. They have to conduct workshops. They have to organize seminars. They have to give some information to the people about the degradation of this lake. So this way I provide the information to the government, and I think my thesis will be available after 6 months because my university provide only the link. If people are interested, they can read it.
We will be very happy if you can share that with us. I am very interested to read it, in fact. And while answering to this question, you also answered my next question, that because you know, for any research student, choosing a proper research problem is an everlasting question. It takes few years for few people. So you also told, like, just by observing our surroundings, we may try to solve few problems that are useful to the society. That's really nice. And if we just imagine ourselves, like we all were RGKT students. Okay, now observing this Kolleru like problem and all, you have found this research problem. So when you are formatting your PhD research problem, okay, how far your experience in master's degree that you have done in India was useful?
I told you that I combined my civil engineering subject. It is lakes and hydrology. It's completely related to the civil engineering, about the soil, water, lakes, river. Everything is connected to the civil engineering. And the data here, I used my master's specialization, remote sensing and GIS. So my main objective is civil engineering. I used the methods and tools and the data, satellite information to observe and analyze to get the results. So I combined both the topics.
Correct. And thanks a lot. And one more thing, like, let me ask you some personal question.
Yeah.
See, like, you are a Telugu Amai.
Yes.
Okay. And from RGKT. So many of us, especially the so-called Telugu Ammailu, like we have this problem that, okay, like we cannot go to abroad, we cannot stay alone, but we are very proud of you. You went there, completed degree, and now you are in a position to guide someone else as well. Okay, maybe soon you will also take PhD students and start giving PhDs. So what I want to ask you is, so what sort of difficulties or comfortness that you found when you go back to Germany? Let's say you might have imagined something before going to Germany from RGUKT. Okay. So what sort of information you would like to tell to our juniors?
Means that I would like to address only for girls, okay?
Yeah, it is especially for girls I'm asking, because many are having with higher ambitions, but they are stepping back because of their own illusions or something. Because you know, once we feel foreign, they have to stay alone, so they will have many fears, especially girls. So you are like a real example who went alone and then did everything. You are like a leader for us now. So we would like to hear from you. What are the challenges that you faced, and what you imagined and what actually happened? We would like to hear from you.
Okay. Actually, personally, I would like to address that I have some claustrophobia.
Okay.
I cannot stay alone, but here my room and the ventilation is everything good, so I can live here.
Okay.
So my main, I am an ambitious person and hardworking. So maybe you could check from my profile that how I would change from civil services to research scholar.
Correct.
So I am ambitious person at any cost. I want to be a successful person, either a research scholar, like I want to be a project leader or anything. So my father is a teacher, and I am the third daughter to my father. My father also retired. So
Okay.
his colleagues, they
Mm.
sometimes they address like you have three daughters. So
Mm-hmm.
it is difficult for you to give them education, and also for you have to spend money for marriage.
Mm.
Always think about the three daughters. And so when we receive this information from others, we always feel bad. We can do anything. I would like to prove that I can do. We are the daughters and we can do anything.
Mm.
So that time I took it as a challenge, and I applied for the scholarship. First of all, after when I get the confirmation from German professor, and also I prepare for the visa and everything. Sometimes you might be influenced from the society, right? For example, a girl, when she finished her masters, and normally society always throw some stones, like when she is going to marry. This is
Yes.
obviously common for every girl, not only for me.
Yeah.
So the society influence on a girl like will be like, why higher education? She can get married and you just free from your responsibilities. So my parents, they always receive such kind of comments, but I never take it as serious. At any cost, I would like to go Germany. I wanna finish my PhD and back to India, and I would like to start some research career in some any leading organizations or positions.
Yes.
So we should always isolate from the society. For example, even though when I'm living in Germany, sometimes my parents, even they receive some comments like when she's gonna finish her PhD. In general, PhD is like 4 to 5 years, but I was in a pressure. I put a lot of effort to finish
Mm.
my PhD in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
This would be really challenging for me.
That's really challenging. That's really challenging.
So finally, I finished my PhD, and right now my parents, they they have some plans so that I have to back to India.
Correct.
So I would like to tell the JKT girls that just try to be ambitious and isolate from the society. Ignore the negative comments. Just try to prove yourself and work hard and prove yourself. This is the best way that you can do it for the society.
It's really eye-opening to us. You are like a woman ambassador for our RGKT now. So I wish like from now on, if whoever are approaching me, I will also suggest them to go through this talk so that they will aware what a RGKT girl can do, how much they can do. And I really appreciate your hard work. In 2.5 years, you were able to complete your PhD, which is not so easy. Because like I myself was a postgraduate, and I could tell like I took about 5 years to complete my PhD in India, and so I'm really appreciating you for that.
Yeah, in India, you can normally IITs, they don't give you PhD in less than 4 years. It's a
And
fact.
it is not like they won't give, they will give, but we have some other factors to deal with. Like
Okay.
we have
Because
coursework
you
here.
are connected with the society, right? For example, right
Yeah,
now I'm living alone. Either I just have my colleagues. I have two colleagues. One is from Iran, one is from China. So I
yeah,
just only communicate with them. I don't communicate with others. Here I
correct.
have Indian friends like that. Sometimes I was asked to go for some party or like some dinner or something. But I always try to avoid that. If I go
Yeah,
for those kind of parties, I would spend like 4 to 5 hours. So it
yeah.
will be like for a research scholar, 4 or 5 hours, like anything. You can
True, true,
spend.
true. Correct,
So
correct.
if I choose why abroad means that I don't want to do in India. It's not because of that. In India,
Mm.
research career is good, but I want to isolate from the society. This I cannot tolerate the society negative comments and all.
Yeah. Like we cannot avoid anyways. Like
Yes.
I always feel we cannot change everyone, but the change can start from us.
Yes.
So I believe in that. So probably you are the seed for that change, and many people will follow you. And because I used to see like many of our junior RGKT juniors who are especially girls used to tell us, no, our parents will not send us so far. We are very much afraid. and like so many things they will tell.
Yeah,
So
they have to believe themselves. They are
correct,
if they have some positive energy, of course the opportunities will come. They have to move forward.
correct. So we would like to thank you once again for this wonderful talk, and I'm telling again, this will remain as a featured talk in CRI series as a tutorial for journey of a research scholar and our Telegammai. And again, I would like to thank you and on behalf of CRI, and I also would like to thank all the audience for attending. So thanks a lot, Meena.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening and for your valuable time.
It's
Meena,
our
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you, Meena.
yeah, thank you.